Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone joining. I am being joined today for a great and informative live with Natalia from Cryoport, who do international cryo transportation of sperm, eggs, embryos, you name it, and they are leaders in the field. They're here now, so I'm going to welcome them in, Natalia in, and we have incredibly topics to answer, as well as your questions. So please have your questions ready. Hello, Natalia. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm very good. How are you today?
Good. I've given a very brief introduction to Cryoport and what you do, but please tell everyone about you, your role, and how you help people all over the world move sperm, eggs, embryos safely.
Yes, hi. So my name is Natalia. I am client care manager here in EMEA market, so European market, but we do international shipments all around the world. So we are shipping, as you said, embryos or gametes from one clinic or hospital to another. We are using for it a tank, a shipper, dry vapor shipper that contains a cryogenic temperature throughout the journey. So your samples can be shipped from one place to another safely.
Amazing. And what you've just mentioned cryo shipping, but why would someone need it or use it during IVF or reproductive medicine?
So there may be multiple reasons why you will need it. For example, for surrogacy, so you are shipping your samples to the clinic where the surrogate will have the procedure. You can also maybe you have purchased from a donor samples and then you want to ship it back to your clinic where you will have the procedure. It can also be that you are moving from one country to another and you want to move your embryos together and continue your fertility treatment in your new place.
Or I presume moving clinics perhaps as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And who chooses and who arranges the shipping?
So it also depends. Sometimes it can be a clinic. So I would recommend that the patient would first talk to their clinics if they have anybody to recommend, like a logistic partner to recommend if they work with somebody specifically. If not, then it's the patient choice to choose with which logistic partner they want to ship it. So it varies from clinic to clinic and patient to patient.
Okay. And when samples, embryos, sperm, eggs are transported, how do they travel?
So they travel in a tank. It's also called a shipper or a doer. The doer is already pre-charged when we send it to the clinic, so it has already cryogenic temperature inside. So once the embryologist or the people from lab will load it into the tank, the samples will be safe and stored within the temperature that they should be. That's so the whole process. Maybe let's start from the beginning. So when you start the process of looking for a logistic partner, you know you want to move and you need to look for a logistic partner. So you will have to request a quote from this company. For us, it is you just go on our website, you click request a quote, and you fill in the details. So you have to know your clinics, so from which clinic to which clinic you would like to ship, and the amount of samples and what samples we are going to ship, so we can provide you a quote. For us to provide a quote for a domestic US shipments, it's usually within 24 hours. For international shipments, it's a little bit more complicated, so it might take 3 to 5 working days to provide you a quote. So once you have a quote, you see how much it will cost you. You can see, then you can contact the logistic partner to ask more detailed questions. Have they moved it already before? Do they know the route? Do they know the requirements that it needs to be done before the samples can be shipped? For example, if it's international, do they know if the permits have to be in place prior, or are there any additional documents that has to be done? Also, do they own a tank? So some of the logistic partners, they don't own the tank, they rent it from a third party. So in our case, we do own all of our tanks. So every time you will rent a tank from us and we will provide you the service of logistic, we knew at any point where this tank was before. We know that it's in a good condition for the next shipment. We have checked it prior, we have cleaned it, and it is ready to be shipped.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And in temperature and sort of the safety of the tanks, because I know that obviously people need to choose a transportation service like Cryoport who are trusted, who have expertise in the areas in the area. How do you mitigate anything going wrong?
So after every shipment, so we validate the shipper after every shipment. So we clean it properly. We check for any little cracks or pinholes, so it can, so we make sure that it can contain the temperature for the next journey. Additionally, we also, with every tank, travels a monitoring device, which this monitoring device monitors the temperature inside and outside of the tank. It monitors the GPS and the tilt. So if the tank is tilted. And so we check the data that has been stored, if everything was correct, if there are no holes in the data, so everything is prepared for the future journey.
And am I right in thinking you have this amazing technology whereby you can sort of check in on how the shipment's going, and if for some reason something needed to be corrected, you're able to monitor that remotely and have that changed?
Yeah, so this monitoring device monitors 24/7 our shippers. Our team, that is 24/7, our logistic team, that is checking all our shipments, can check at any point where the shipper is on a GPS, what temperature it is. If for example the shipper is tilted, we can contact our handlers or couriers to put it upright for the correct position.
Amazing, amazing. And how involved do people get? So, for example, I shipped donor sperm to our clinic. Do people who are having treatment get involved in the process and in the forms, or is that left to the clinic to do with you guys?
So once the patient decides to go with us, they provide us the order form that they want to go with us, and we start the coordination process with the clinic. So this is on our side. We will reach out to both clinics to make sure that they are ready to ship the samples and to receive. If at any point, for example, the clinic says that there are some documents still not in place and the patient has to still fill it in, we will inform the patient that to contact the clinic to make the process going. Once both clinics will tell us they are ready to ship and to receive, we will, if it's international shipment, we will make sure that they also have additional permits or documents in place. So our custom agent will contact them and we'll make sure, hey, do you have this permit in place? If everything is in place, then we start, we coordinate the shipment. So the patient is not involved, they don't have to do anything, but they will be informed at any point when the shipment is going to happen. So we will inform them about the pickup date and delivery date, and they also will receive an automatic email once the shipment is picked up and once the shipment is delivered.
Oh, that's really good. So people are kept in the loop, knowing where they're going to be.
Correct.
Yeah, amazing. And how do you guarantee that there's no mix-up so that patients, the right materials are delivered? How does that whole sort of process work?
So if the patient is ordering from us, is giving us the order to ship their samples, in the tank will be only their samples. There will be nobody else samples included. So once we pick it up from one clinic, then it goes straight to the delivery clinic in another country or city. So we will make sure, so there's no mix-up, there's not multiple samples inside, so the embryologist doesn't have to go through the samples inside. They know that everything that is inside, they have to take it out and store secure in their storage.
That's really good to know, really good. And if anyone has any questions for Natalia and the team at Cryoport as we're talking, please do ask or DM us. They're always so happy to help. And it can feel like another part of the process when you have to move things around like I did. So to have a team who have expertise in this area, do it day and night, and do it safely, and have been doing it for a long time, 10 years, I believe. It's have that kind of burden taken off you so that they can sort it out on your behalf. And choosing a partner like Cryoport, like yourselves, what should people look into? How do they pick? What do they weigh up? Yeah, it'd be good to understand reasons for people's choices and how to navigate that.
So yeah, so if you contact the logistic partner, that multiple ones, so I would ask those questions if they have done this route before, if they have if they own the tanks that they are going to rent it out, if they what they have in place to mitigate any possible problems that might happen during the transit, right? That so for example for the customs, right? So if it's international shipment, what we do for the customs, we make sure that all the permits and documents are in place. We also have a document that do not X-ray, that it's signed by the embryologist. We provide it to our handlers and to the customs agent, that they make sure that the samples under any circumstances are not being X-rayed. They have different ways of checking the samples prior to loading on the plane. For example, at dog sniffing, to check the sample, to check the package. What else can there be? Also, if they what as a monitoring device, as I already mentioned, right? If they have something in place to make sure that they know where it is, so it won't be lost somewhere in the airport, right? What else there was?
I was going to ask you actually, what happens if someone has, I don't know, some specimens that they want to ship now, but others that they want to hold back and ship at a different time? How does that work?
Yeah, so it is also possible. People might make these decisions if they, for example, move only for a few years abroad and they want to start the process in another country, but they don't want to ship all of their samples at once. It is possible. They can keep in storage part of the samples and part of them sent. It is possible. Also, sometimes if, for example, your spouse has died and you have their samples and you want to start the process of IVF, and you need to move from one clinic to another, then for additional security, you might divide it into two different tanks. So then there is a less possibility that something can go wrong.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. If someone's coming to you and they don't yet have a clinic, are you able to help with the clinic recommendations or putting people in touch with clinics?
Yeah, so we can definitely provide a list of clinics that we have worked in the past. We don't necessarily recommend, but we can make sure that we work with this clinic in the past. We know that they're established in the country, city, or region, and we can provide the list, of course.
And equally, if there's a clinic that you're not working with and someone wants to ship through Cryoport because of your expertise and your reputation, then can you work with a clinic that you're not already working with?
Of course, of course. So the patient just can provide us the contact details. We will reach out to the clinic and make sure that they understand who we are, what they need. If they need additional information about our tanks, we can provide it. We can also provide instructions of how to load, how to unload. So they have the embryologists from the lab, they have everything in place. So they know that the shipment will be secured and stored.
That's really good to know. And do you ship to most countries in the world?
Yes, I would say most countries. Of course, the list sometimes changes, right? We have geopolitical situations that involves, for example, right now Ukraine. We currently we don't ship there due to the possible disruption in the shipment. We don't want to. We want to make sure that once we ship, it's completely secure.
That makes complete sense. What about medical insurance? Does this cover things like shipment?
So for most of the medical insurance, it can cover the shipment, but you will have to contact your medical insurance provider and ask them what part of the shipping or they will receive the full money back, or it's only partially. We additionally offer insurance for the shipments itself. So we can, once you ship with us, you can choose different levels of insurance, and then the samples are insured for a certain amount of money. It can be $25,000 or $50,000, and then for any possible thing that can happen during the transit, the samples are insured.
Okay, and actually a question that's come up before about crossing borders, is that simple?
It depends on the borders, of course. Some borders take it longer because they need the custom agent at the border need to have check the permits is in place, if some additional registration, if the clinic is properly registered. But we make sure that all this is checked prior to the shipment. So once the samples will arrive, the shipment arrives at the border, our couriers just handle all documents, and which they checked prior to the shipment with the government. Hey, is this enough for the shipment to pass? Once the government says yes, so they give us the green light to ship. We present all the documents once it's there, and there shouldn't be any issues.
That's really good to know. If anyone has any questions for Natalia or for the team, please feel free to ask. I know sometimes people don't want to ask publicly, which I appreciate. So feel free to DM afterwards as well. And anything else that you think people should know about the process, how to start it?
Yeah, I'm just going through my notes just to make sure I mentioned everything.
Because if some sample is in a rush, I don't know, maybe they're waiting for eggs or embryos to start a cycle or sperm, can it be transported pretty quickly from the moment of contact and getting a quote and getting the paperwork together?
So the whole process, it really depends on the country. So let's assume that we are doing US domestic shipments, so between I know Los Angeles and New York. Then you have a rush shipment that you need to ship it. Then we can provide, if the both clinics are ready, then we can provide an empty door even the next day for the shipment. But if it's a country that we need to first ship an empty door, and it can take a few days before it reaches there. In general, generally speaking, we can provide for the international shipments. The coordination process takes 2 to 3 weeks. So this is safe. So if you know when you are planning to ship, then contact us at least 3 weeks prior the shipment. So we can start the whole process. And the transit itself, also internationally, I would say takes 3 to 5 days, depending on the route. And then domestically, either it's in Europe or is it in US, then it's usually overnight.
Okay, that's really good to know. Brilliant, thank you so much. Well, I think it's a brilliant service because I've used it, and I appreciate how incredible it is that from one day to the next, or 4 days later, or however long, depending on your situation, the country that you're in and what you're shipping, that you can have things waiting for you wherever you need them to be, and that's pretty incredible.
Yes, that is. But yeah, that's why we are here. And if you have any additional questions, people have different situations. Really, we are here to help. And even if one of my colleagues will not be able to reply in the moment, we will try to provide you an answer as soon as possible.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Natalia. I think that covers everything that we wanted to explain to people, and those are the questions that we've sort of had. But yeah, I think that when people are making a decision about where to go and what to do, I mean, it's precious cargo, isn't it? So going with a trusted provider like Cryoport is so important, because you just want to ensure that that this cargo is in the safest hands possible.
That is correct. Yeah, you need to be sure, and so you can sleep quietly and not worry of what is happening, and if they know what they are doing.
Absolutely. And is there a team your end who can guide people through this process if they've got any questions or want to know?
Yes. So if you have any questions, you can either contact us via email, IVF-CS, so customer service CS @cryoport.com.
Yep.
Or you can go on our website. This is part of Cryoport, so it's mycryostork.com. And over there on the top right corner, there's request a quote or contact us, and you can click there, and it's either you will fill in the form with the questions you might have, or there's also a phone number that you can call us, and we have a team available to answer your questions.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth people just getting in touch to find out more information about their personal and get a quote, find out what kind of timeline they'd be looking at and what the process would be for them. So really appreciate that support. So thank you.
Yes, yes, and then as well, like if you start thinking about it, it's always to have this information prior, so you can kind of plan around it, right? Like some of the shipments might not be that easy, and some also the clinics might have a schedule full. So really, we have to adapt also many times to the clinics or to labs around their schedule once they can fit in the shipments around all the other things that they are doing.
Absolutely. Someone's just asked, can you please type the email and website details?
Will do.
Okay. Are you able to type it into the box now as we finish this? Or what I can do
Where do you know where I can, in the comments, should I type it?
and to Michelle, who just asked this, Cryoport have written a fabulous article which sort of gives you all the information we've just been talking about. So I'm going to link this up so that you can find their details and read more about their safety measures, their expertise, the process, how to go about it, how to utilize the support, everything that you want and need to know. So yeah, follow through our link in bio shortly and you'll be able to speak to the team, DM us, DM Cryoport, and take it from there. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you everyone for joining. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.